Let us talk about the issue at hand. Let us talk about President J. Donald Trump. Um, we could see over the last past couple of years, starting from, I think, the year 2023, the year 2021, all the way up after Donald Trump was removed from the office, serving as the President of the United States of America. We know very well that after that, he was very furious with rage, was very angry um, when he was predecessed by the Joe Biden presidency. If you will remember quite well, back in the year 2020, after the COVID-19 pandemic, um, he was removed from the office to serve as the president of the United States of America. So after that, from since that day, Trump departed from the office. He's been very upright. He's been very expressive of the disparity that was used against him, right? Pertaining things like the impeachment, the file that was stolen after he departed from the office. So there were many lot of things. There were many lot of havocs or any subversive elements that were basically fragmenting people's trust, or either, how can I put it, to tarnish his name, So he's been fighting from since day one of leaving the office. So he's been fighting basically the establishment, the bureaucracy who doesn't like Trump, because we cannot run away from the fact that Trump is basically uncontrollable, right? Um, he's been impeached, he's been indicted for several times for different cases, and he's been also thrown into dungeons, for no conducive, tangible evidence. He's been impeached, indicted, thrown into dungeons, impeached. There has been a lot of tabloids, disseminating, escalating things that are not true, projecting the fact that President J. Trump is a racist, you know, it doesn't have respect for the people of the nation, which is America. I think it is undeniable that this man has been shaken for the longest time. They have been trying, to eliminate him from within the political space just by spreading all of these hoax, allegations, concocted bogus, to slander his name, to tarnish his brand and what's not, and so on and so forth. So it has been in the public space. It's not something that was disguised or concealed from the masses. Everybody could see with naked eyes that this man has been challenged, has been shaken for the longest time. So if the impeachment and the tarnishment of your brand, uh, slandering, slandered name, and what's not, and so forth, if all of these tactics didn't work on you, you're still standing, you're still upright, you haven't fall. Even if you fall, you rise again fast. So if you're still standing, you're very obstinate, you're very impudent. So at some point, somewhere, somehow, whether they like it or not, you just leave them with no other option rather than to destroy you. Because if these minor tactics don't work, human trafficking, I remember he was even involved in a case rape. If they fail to throw you into dungeons with race cape, impeachment, concocted bogus of charges, so you only leave them with one option. There's no other way around. The only thing that you leave is for them to castrate you, to ostracize you, or either to blistery obliterate you. How? To put a bullet in your head. There's no other way around. That's the only solution. So it is not bewildering that much. It is not appalling. It is appalling at some point because obviously, to kill someone, it's never a right thing, you know, especially if he doesn't have any maybe misconduct at some point, somewhere, somehow, maybe of killing people or doing these serious crimes like heist and so on and so forth. So to put a bullet in his cranium, it's not the way to go. But these people left with no choice. The establishment, as Vivek Ramaswamy says, is one of the political candidate who's been running for presidency in the United States of America. So if all of these tactics, concocted boguses, impeachment, indictment, uh, thrown into dungeons, all of these things doesn't work, they are left with one option: to put a bullet in your cranium, to put a bullet in your head. There's no other way around. So it is appalling because we understand that there's no sincerity, there's no integrity anymore in politics. But we all know if all of these other tactics failed, they're gonna shoot you. They're gonna gun blaze you, whether you like it or not, because they're not gonna fold their arms and just watch you, having a smooth path. They're gonna make it difficult for you. You will face some tremendous setbacks. They will be threatened. Your life will be threatened. You will be intimidated, and so on and so forth. If all of these things doesn't intimidate you, you're still very abrasive, you're still very brave, you're still very hubris, you're still very cocky, confident, stand your ground, you're very resilient, you're very relentless. At some point, somewhere, somehow, you leave them with no option rather than to put a bullet in your cranium. So it is surprising, but it was expected. I think people like Tucker Carlson talk about this. Patrick Pat David's PPD podcast, they also talk about this. Who else? Tim Pool podcast also talk about this. I think Chris Williams also talked about this. I think Vladimir Putin, Russian dictator, also talk about this, that it is undemocratic, to use finances of the state, to use state money to attack one man just simply because you have disputes, disagreement, conflict of interest. You want to put a certain agenda, to sabotage him at some point, somewhere, somehow. So we've seen these things. It is not hiding. It's not something that is concealed from people's sight. So in hindsight, after all of this pandemonium scandal incident took place, it confirms that if you are against the bureaucracy, the establishment, these people are very powerful people. I think they are above money. I can see people would say Donald Trump is also rich at some point, somehow, but at some point, you should understand this amicably, that the establishment, it's people who are rich beyond having net worth, like to be written in Forbes, under Forbes, and what's not, and so forth. That is why people like Elon Musk said he's gonna run in this election as a vice president for Donald Trump. Big up for Elon Musk, to show some level of concern, some gravitas, and compassion with this particular scenario, because it is not good at all. There's no humanity, there's no benevolence in this particular scenario. To take someone's life just simply because you disagree with, just simply because of political reasons, it literally doesn't make it right. So the hilarious part and the leadership traits that Mr. Donald Trump possessed after he was shot, you know, he still rose and raised the American flag, because um, his slogan is he will make America again. We will make America again. So there has been like a lot of grappling with this man, but he is still standing. he's not going anywhere. Big up to Mr. Donald Trump. He's very relentless. He's very resistant. Thank you very much, Mr. Donald. Stand tall and look people on the eye. There is greatness that is located in you, Mr. Donald.